Hello everyone, welcome to the post-mortem where we dissect the game. Manchester United have just drew 2-2 at Old Trafford, meaning Liverpool have failed to beat us all season. We've taken points off them in a title race, but it was absolute chaos. Absolute chaos, and there is a lot in between to discuss, both positives and negatives, but I'm going to let you lads take the floor with this because it's just give us, if you can, your overall analysis of the game, where your head's at with it, how are you currently feeling at this present moment in time, having drew that.
I was just laughing because when you said when you were just doing the intro, I could remember your messages in the group chat, and I could just tell you're going mad. Like,
oh, bro.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, if we put everything, just focus on the game in isolation. I actually thought we'd get beat. But then at the same time, we were in a winning position, and then we let the game go. So it's one of them ones. You guys already know, like, I've mentally checked out since Brentford, so I was kind of just emotionless throughout the whole game. I think the only time I had a bit of emotion was when Kobe scored, and then that was, because I was really happy for him. But I don't know, like, the whole game, it was terrible. But then it's what we've seen all season, to be fair. Well, for most of the season, it's kind of what we've seen. It's kind of what I've come to expect. And I think the disappointment that all of us probably feel at the moment is that we see these things and then we don't see any sort of changes. In your message, Nick, you said you wanted to see some changes in the second half. This was after the first half. And I almost messaged you back to say good luck with that, but I was just like, let's just allow it and see what happens, because maybe, he might make a change, but we didn't get to see that. On a positive side, like, I don't want to be all the way negative because we could talk about that for ages. But on a positive side, I mean, we've managed, now we're not just an easy 3 points for Liverpool anymore. Like, they got into this habit of coming to Old Trafford and taking the 3 points, or at least beating us the whole time. So that in itself is a bit of consolation for me. Like, we've played them 3 times this season, we haven't lost to them, and every time we took points off them, every time we drew, it kind of hurt their chances of progressing. So that's the only kind of positive I see from this. But apart from that, there's not that much I've really seen. I mean, the game was just chaotic, and I think Liverpool got sucked into the emotion of things. If they just calm down and play their game and then just keep possession, just pass it around, and then, focus on the game and not the emotion, because Jurgen Klopp was going mad. The players were going, I think
Klopp was doing what I was doing in my room. I was going fucking mad. Honestly, I'll reserve myself, but
yeah. Sam, what do you think? Let's hear what Sam thinks.
He must be scratching his head in it, Sam. Jurgen Klopp. He must be sat there and thinking, going, lads, what the fuck are you doing?
Nick, I think you're on the wrong mic setting because it's very echoey, so just double check that for me.
Sorry. Apologies.
I'll start with some positives, because despite the fact that it was more chaotic than the Joker in Gotham, I think there were some positives. I think Willy Cambuala had a very good game. I think he was decent, did some good stuff.
We'll get into that as well.
He was solid. Kobe Mainoo, I thought for the most part had a poor game, but then he came up with the goods with a fucking phenomenal goal. So, like, that's what you want. If a player's having a bad game, you want him to come up with something, and he did. Onana, I think, kept us in the game, a lot of it. I think all that sort of talk of him being a shit goalkeeper and not good enough, I think that's being put to bed slowly but surely. I think he's a good keeper. So I think they were the positives. Other than that, I'm struggling. Substitutions towards the end, I understand them, but at the same time, I think it made us more likely to concede a goal and more likely to lose this game. But I do understand them why he did it, because he's trying to shut the game off, etc. But we can go through everything bit by bit. But they were the positives that I saw. Negatives, it was just, there was no structure whatsoever. Zero. Like, just zero idea of, like, this is where we set, this is where we press, these are the triggers, this is where our line is. There was none of that. It was just, everything was out the window, and it was just fucking, let's see if we can score. And then Liverpool on the other side of it, we were just like, they could have just battered us 3-0 in the first half if they wanted to, if they put something together. and just were unable to do it completely. I don't know if that's arrogance or whatever. I'm not sure what it is, but they just couldn't seem to get anything together. And they just seemed to willing us to come onto them and like do something, and they were wide open at the back. So yeah, it was chaos for many reasons, and that sort of game made me think maybe it's not Liverpool's year, because if they're playing like that against probably the worst team in the league in us, I don't see him like sort of being able to go on to win the title.
What's mad though, Sam? They've lost 2 games all season.
Yeah,
it's a United thing. I don't know what it is. Every team has the bogey team. Every team has the poison. For some reason, they get wrapped up in the Old Trafford crowd and emotion, and they don't play the usual passes that they do. I mean, they had spells in the game, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest about that. The first half, United had absolutely nothing going forward. No shots on goal. I think the first time since 2015 in a City draw or something. No impact. We've got fans pulling their hair out because every time we get in a key situation, Bruno fucking Fernandes doesn't play the right pass. Honestly, I couldn't believe it the amount of times he got it in the final third. You're like, Bruno, this is what you're best at. This is what you've been brought in.
How like Bruno is that? He had that fucking abysmal game, and then he does that.
But
do you know what I mean?
The thing is with me though, Sam, right? I get it. He scored the goal's fantastic, but that performance was shit.
Oh, awful.
I'm that strict on Bruno because I expect expectations. I would have still taken him off. I don't give a shit if he scored, because he was the negatives outweigh the positives for me. You scored a fantastic goal, but the rest of your performance was fucking subpar, and it has been for the majority of the season. Yeah. So I'm losing my head with a lot of these players, man. I'm losing my head with the tactics. I don't get it. The first half, we should be 4-5-0 down, and we're sat here having a completely different conversation. And I get we take the positives out of it, and I get we're happy with that kind of stuff, but you can't. That ain't sustainable.
It's a terrible.
It's not sustainable.
It was a terrible game, and going forward, it's not going to get better. Like, it's not going to change. We know this. I think, but tactically, this is what it's going to be. We're just going to be wide open. It's going to be chaos end to end, and at one point we'll get lucky, like we have in other games, and then other points we won't get so lucky with the Chelsea game, for example. That's what we are this season, and until either Ten Hag changes things, or unless he goes, that's the only way it changes. Until then, I think this is what you're going to get, and this is who we are, and I don't see it changing. And the tactic, like if he's going to go for this absolutely mental gung-ho style, and then we go 2-1 up, and he goes, right, I'm going to close this game off. So he brings Amrabat on, takes Garnacho off, who's, if you're going to snatch a goal, Garnacho is the guy. Like, that's the dude you're going to get it from. But if you're going to take him off, if he's knackered or whatever, why are you not bringing Ahmad on? Put him on, put him in the same position. He's done it for you before against Liverpool. If you get the counter that we had, like right at the 93rd, 94th minute, we had a counter, didn't we? Ahmad in that position, maybe it's a different story. Maybe we get the third, we win 3-2. Like, do you know what I mean? So there was little tactical things where it's like when he did make changes or when he did try to affect the game, I felt like they were the wrong ones. And then when he should have made changes to change the game and the way we were, he did nothing. And I don't understand it.
Sorry, Sam. Chive, what changed from the first? What did we do better in the second half? Because I'm scratching my head thinking, was it just moments of brilliance why we got back into it, or was it something kind of constructive, or what's your view on that?
I don't think we changed significantly from a tactical position in the second half. I think, especially with this being the Manchester-Liverpool derby, emotions run high. And I think when we capitalized on the mistake and Bruno scored that goal, the game changed. Like, we know this. We've seen this so many times. Like, goals change games. Once the goal goes in, everyone's antenna goes up. The other team gets under the cosh. And you know how Old Trafford has been recently, especially when Liverpool has been there. You know, it gets jumping. The players start, going up for it. And it's just a thing of emotion. And I don't want to be I've been harsh on our team for so long, but to be fair, Liverpool actually, because we sucked them into the emotion of it, and I think they started to make mistakes. That's why Jurgen Klopp was going absolutely mad, because they didn't need to play us with, they didn't need to go chaotic. They only had to be patient and pass the ball around, and they weren't doing that. We forced them into it probably wasn't intentional, but we just kind of forced it on them. and they got sucked into the whole emotion of it. Yeah.
It's like an MMA fight. You know when a guy wants to brawl and the other guy is just like picking back, and then he gets sucked in. He gets sucked in, doesn't he, to fucking doing rock and sock and rock, and then you're like, why have you done that? It's like you were gonna win this fight just picking him apart, and then you got sucked in to this.
Exactly. That's you guys that's the perfect analogy for this. We turned it into a brawl, basically. So no matter how skilled you are technically, once the other person is brawling, it's just going to become a street fight. But one thing I wanted to add as well was, apart from being disappointed with our tactics, at the very least, we should be able to hold on to our leads. We've dropped 9. We've from 9 points, a possible 9 points against Brentford, against Chelsea, and against Liverpool today. Could have been 9 points. We've ended up with just 2.
I think Henry Jones has put it in the chat. 15 points dropped from winning positions this season.
Right. So at the very least, so if he's going to make that change that you're talking about, Sam, and bring on Amrabat, then just park the bus.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone, there's absolutely nothing. Park the fucking bus and just hit them on the counter. Do the whole Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thing, because it worked. It worked.
I did think we was a bit more reserved though, Chivy. I didn't think we was as aggressive, like the vacuum that we saw in the first half, second half. I mean, when Amrabat came on, it was a little bit more reserved than our approach. It wasn't as gung-ho.
It was because Bruno went to the wing and Kobe moved up. But then that's the problem. There was still spaces.
Yeah.
So when you park the bus under like a Jose Mourinho, bro, you pass. You can make all the passes you want. You're not going to get any space in between. So at the very least, we should be that disciplined. But it's just what it happens. I mean, I just hope. The only thing I'm hoping for now is that, and this is probably one thing that's really just dashed my hopes, to be honest, is that we learn from these things, but then the next game comes and we don't seem to learn from it.
We haven't. It's been how many games have you played this season so far? 20, 27, 28?
No, more than 30 odd now.
30 games, and he hasn't learned.
30.
He hasn't learned. Like he's not going to learn now. Like if he's not done it, he did it in two games last season. He realised it ain't working. Change it, and had some monitoring amount of success. We've had 30 games this season, and he hasn't changed a thing. Nothing.
There's a couple of things I want to discuss that kind of balance it out a little bit, and there's quite a few things I want to discuss, if I'm being honest. So I want to just kind of go through the key incidents like swiftly, and then I'll get onto like individual performances and stuff like that. The first goal, it was obviously targeting cutbacks and back post, wasn't there? Yeah. Like, how is Diaz free there? I don't know if it was Wan-Bissaka or Mainu marking him. I know it was one of them.
Mainu, but he
just left free.
He was asking defenders who he was supposed to be picking up because he had no idea who he was picking up, and then nobody's telling him. Nobody's telling him either. So he's just picking a guy near him, and then obviously Diaz is just like, well, I'm not getting marked. Fuck this, and he's free in the box.
I'm sure at that moment, most of us was like, oh, here we fucking go. And to be honest, we're throwing a lifeline with the Bruno Fernandes goal, aren't we? Quansah messes it up. He messed up a few times in the game, but that is a lifeline because it was going the way Liverpool were dominating us. As soon as that goal goes in, the whole fucking thing switches. The whole momentum of the match switches. But let's just sit on the Kobe Mainu goal because fuck me, what a finish! It reminded me a little bit, Mikadas against Villa, on the half turn and the top. What a finish! Talk to me about that goal, Chivy, because it was Mainu's stepped up a couple of times now, innit? Like you said, he's having a bad performance, but that finish against Liverpool at the age of 18 years old, pretty impressive.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Because I could say I could tell that Mainu was kind of caught in two minds for a second there because he was wondering whether to leave it for Garnacho.
Yeah.
And I think at the very last minute he just went, "Fuck it, let's just go." And then instead of leaving, he might as well just do it. And then he just took the turn. And as soon as the ball left his feet, I was like, "This is good." Like you could just see the trail going in, and there was nothing. The goalkeeper, I don't care who you are, you're not getting that one. And he doesn't do normal goals, man. No. He just doesn't. Even the goal he scored against, was it Newport?
Wolves.
Nah, the one before then. The Carling Cup game. Sorry, I keep saying Carling Cup. Sorry, I'm old.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, his first goal was in the Carabao. Yes, I remember. It was in the before the Wolves game. Yeah, his first goal.
I don't remember.
I will do it if I watch it back. I know exactly what you're about, but I just
it was similar. It was Anyway, what a lovely goal. I mean, it's one of them ones where you have to be a quality player.
You don't even look. You don't even look at the net.
Yeah, because you know where the goal
Exactly.
is.
It literally just picks the ball up and goes right, and just hits it, and you're like, you don't even look.
You know where the goal
I love his
is.
celebrations as well, Chiver. You know when he goes, he just goes like, you know, as if he like, don't worry about it, like just so chilled and cool about it.
Yeah. But then that's the kind of thing, like a player, like we've seen players like Rashford kind of freeze in the moment. You know, they're indecisive and everything. And he had options. He picks the right option, doesn't leave it for Garnacho and goes for it. And yeah, that's what you need. 18 years old, man.
Crazy.
Mental.
Crazy. He's a superstar, isn't he, Sam? You talk about the young stars that we've got. They're outperforming the senior players at the minute, aren't they?
Yeah, what's the wrestler Randy Orton, ice in his veins? That is Kobe Manu, isn't it? Like he is stone cold. There's nothing that phases the kid. Like I've not seen anything yet. He's played Liverpool 3 times, and he's 18, and he's looked one of the best players on the pitch every single time, and he's pulled us out of the mud. If according to Chivy as well I'm saying Carling Cup now, Carabao Cup, Wolves, which we were on their way to like drawing or losing that game potentially. He pulls us out there. He's pulled it out here. Like he's ridiculous, man. This kid's ridiculous, and it makes it even a little bit sweeter because he obviously got picked for Southgate in the friendlies and performed well, I thought. And all Liverpool fans saying, "Oh, why is Harvey Elliott not getting there?" That's why. That's why he's there, because Harvey Elliott came on, was okay. Like it wasn't fantastic, but it was all right. But Kobe Mainoo's doing that shit. That's why he's in the Euro squad. That's why.
I don't know what they're feeding them in the academy, because these academy boys don't have no fear. Look at Kambwala, like they have no fear.
Hold off on Kambwala because I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into, trust me.
It's just because I watched the highlights of the academy under 18s against Liverpool yesterday when they beat them 9-1. Yeah, and it's just arrogance. It was just arrogant.
Like Garnacho arrogance level, innit?
You had
just arrogant.
You had Amas on the bench as well. I was like, I'm excited about that guy as well. He's gonna be good.
Lads, there's a few attackers in the academy that, man, I think we might be hearing from them soon, because those boys don't look humble at all. Like, but anyway, sorry, Nick. Sorry.
No, it's all right. Just the last key incident before we talk about a couple of things. The penalty. Sam, what was your thoughts on that? Because I personally thought Harvey Elliott dived. I didn't think Wan-Bissaka touched him at all. But at the same time, you're also running a risk when you don't dive in like that near the end of a game, do you? It's so fucking naive and stupid. And it's wing backs again. Dalot, Chelsea game. Yeah. Exact same thing.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Wan-Bissaka, like, if there's one guy you want going to ground in the penalty box, it's Wan-Bissaka, arguably, isn't it? Because most of the time, he makes the tackle. It isn't. Because he slides. That's the thing. He wins it the majority, but majority of the time. So so I can give him one occasionally because most of the time he makes it. But when he first did it, I was like, that's a definite pen. Like if you dive in and you don't get the ball, like you're gonna give a penalty away. And then when they showed the replay and stuff like that, I was like, he slides in and Harvey Elliott is still going, and he slides in and he comes in and then he puts his leg in between Wan-Bissaka's legs, feels the contact, and then he goes over. So for me, it's a dive. But obviously VAR and stuff this season, we're never getting decisions ever because apparently it just doesn't work that way for Manchester United. So yeah, when I saw it again, it was a dive. Initially, when I first saw it, I was like, that's just stupid. Like you said, naive diving in the box, like stuff. But when you look at it, it's a dive. And for me, it shouldn't have been a penalty. But when Salah's on there, it's going in, isn't it? Like he doesn't miss for the most points. So it was always going to be 2-2 once the penalty was given.
Yeah, it was. I'm guessing you kind of echoed them thoughts too. It was just ridiculous, wasn't it?
But yeah, just same as Sam. Like it's Wan-Bissaka. Like he gets them 99.9% of the time. I suppose this was the 0.01 time that he missed it, but still, it's game management.
Yep.
You know, towards the end of the game, you shouldn't be making those kind of tackles. It doesn't matter whether you're outside the box, but you should just keep it compact. Just manage the game. Just stay in the game, but. That's what happened.
Yeah. Right, I want to talk about the midfield and Casemiro first and foremost. Get your comments in as well. I'll read a couple out in a moment. So yeah, just smash like on the video and get your comments in. We'll get to them very, very shortly. The midfield was highlighted extensively at half-time, Sam. Gary Neville was going on and on about it. James Carragher was going on and on about it. Casemiro and Mainoo were being dragged all over the place. It was kind of, I don't know if we're kind of doing a man marking system. It's hard to, I don't know what's going on. It looks like chaos.
It's a combination, wasn't it? There was some of them were man marking, and then others were zonal marking. So I don't know which system we were doing. I have no idea.
And obviously McAllister and Szoboszlai was taking advantage of this, and just it's been an issue all season. So I don't want to kind of cover all ground because we've spoken about it so much. But at the base of that midfield, Sam, is Casemiro, who was okay for the first 20 minutes, but the second half,
he lost his head.
Oh my god, the clearances at times on the edge of the box
just
when you
just
get it out,
just right across the goal.
Yeah, what are you doing? It almost looks like he's not asked.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got the same feeling about Casemiro, but Jesus Christ, man.
It feels like he's checked out. Like, it feels like in his head, he's just gone, in the summer, I'm going to go to Saudi or whatever. I can't be arsed with this. Can't be bothered. And it just feels like he's checked out because some of the passing, it's just constantly like passing out from the back and he's just giving it straight into the Liverpool players, like you said, with the clearances. And then fucking 95th, 96th minute, he's 2-footing a guy on the edge of our own box and giving a free kick away when it's 2-2. It's like, why?
Reckless.
Why are we doing this? Like, don't do it. Like,
he didn't even need to be that aggressive in the tackle, did he, either?
Like, do that. If you're going to do that, do it 10 minutes in. Fine, but don't do it 95 minutes when it's 2-2 and you give a free kick. Like, for fuck's sake, man. It's so bizarre. I don't get what he's doing, man. I don't know if his head's gone. I don't know if he's throwing the towel in. I don't know if his legs don't work and he's just fucking marauding around, making it look like he's... I don't know what it is going on, but yeah, I think that midfield needs an entire rebuild in the summer. Like, we need to completely reshape that.
Yeah, I know we're laughing and joking here and saying, like, why is Reckless here and doing that, but his decline has been a steep one on it.
It doesn't matter who, I've said this so many times, it doesn't matter who we put in that midfield. If we set them up this way, it's always going to be porous. I promise you.
Nah, come on, bro. It's more than that.
I promise you. Oh, so who would you put in that midfield?
Chivy, he's 2-footing people on the edge of the box.
Hold on. Let me make my point. We've got Kobe Minu, who's this. We know how amazing he is, right? Mm-hmm. And he's struggling in there. Because before we used to say Casemiro, like his legs, he's losing his legs. Kobe's a ball of energy, and he's struggling. Here's the thing: when you're put in that sort of position, I don't care the kind of mental fortitude you have. I don't care how mentally sound you are. If you keep getting the ball, if you keep getting people running rings around you, 70, 80 minutes in a game, you lose your head. I don't know about you, but you will lose your head. You will lose it. Football is mental just as much as a physical game. And I don't care who you could go and get Declan Rice, you could go and get Rodri. They will show some frustration. Now, granted, Casemiro has had his mistakes. Easy. I'm not absolving him of anything. But what I'm saying is, if you play him in a system like that, I promise you, there's no... Go and get the best center midfielders in the world. You put them in that system, they will feel and they will consistent. And once you start getting into a funk, into a bad form, it carries on until something changes. And if nothing changes, we're going to see more of this. Watch what happens if hypothetically speaking, Casemiro goes to Arsenal. Let's just say, you think you're going to see this kind of performances? You wouldn't. Kobe Mino goes to Man City. You would not see these kind of performances. So yes, they have their individual mistakes. Everybody does. But I think the crux of this whole thing is coming down to how they are being played. They're not supported by the centre backs. They're not supported by the wing backs. Last season, we used to see this a lot, where one of the wing backs would drop into the midfield, and they'll form a midfield three at the base. We saw this a lot. Luke Shaw would drop in sometimes. Diogo Dalot would drop in sometimes. We're not seeing that this season. It's just two of them now, and this is what's happening to them right now. I still believe in the quality of both those players, but when you put them in a system that constantly reveals their shortcomings, of course they're going to lose their heads. Of course, you're going to see things like this happen. So, yes, I know he's made some mistakes, some terrible mistakes, and all that. But it's one of them ones where it kind of goes into a mental state where it's frustration, bro. It's like in a boxing match, right? You're punching and then your opponent keeps counter punching and you're not landing any. There's no way you're going to keep your head. You're going to lose. You're going to get frustrated, and that's what's happening. And I think he has to change. I don't know why it's so hard to just go back to what we did last season. Go be a little bit more conservative, right? And then and play to their strengths. But that's not happening. And this is what happens. They start to lose form. They start to get frustrated. It starts to affect them mentally, and it happens game after game after game after game. And I've been saying this the whole time, but just watch what happens if any of them leave next season. God forbid Kobe doesn't go. Well, I guarantee you this: Casemiro goes somewhere else next season and plays in a stable formation. You're not going to see any of this, man. Why is it that when they go for international games, they're on point?
International football is slower. It's well slower than what the Premier League is. Look, with the system, right? You're absolutely spot on. The system does not help. This vacuum that we're playing in, players are frantic. They're almost clueless. They don't know what they're doing. But you strip it away from that with Casemiro. It's the reckless challenges. It's wayward passes, strange decisions. Positional sense. Again, I know it's a little bit of the system. He is not the same player he was last season. He's had one of the biggest declines ever. Fell off completely, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know what anyone else thinks in the chat.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Who from last season is the same player this season?
Who's the same player? It depends.
Yeah, in terms of playing, in terms of form, like who has been as good as they were last season as they are this season?
Who's played or who's improved? I'd probably say Delo has been decent.
Yeah.
Been decent, improved. Mainu didn't even play any of last season. It's weird because it's almost a completely different team, so it's hard to say. Like Højlund wasn't here last year.
Oh,
no, I mean? Rashford's completely dropped off, but then he had his best season under Erik ten Hag. So it's chopping and changing so much.
Yeah, but the top performances from last season, we had Rashford playing well, we had Bruno playing well, we had when Varane played well. We've had Casemiro was one of our important players playing well.
But they're playing bad at like. No, Anthony's all right.
That's what I'm saying. Even Anthony had an okay season, but what I'm saying is, everyone who performed well last season has dropped off. There's nobody that's carried up.
Oh, it's more with Casemiro. Everyone has the steepest decline. I'm telling you now, his legs have completely gone. He's not making the right decisions. He's making weird passes. He's lashing out, and because he can't keep up with the pace. Did you watch the game against Chelsea? He was a dinosaur, mate. People were just skipping past it. He was struggling. He can't keep up with the tempo. So maybe you're right. Maybe in the sense like, sorry, Sam, sat there listening. Maybe in the right, he could go to a Serie A or La Liga or somewhere like that, and he could probably play in a system where it's a bit more compact and organised, and he'd probably do really, really well. But in this league, he can't cope anymore. I'm not asked what team he goes to.
I don't agree with that at all. You put him in Arsenal's team, there's no way you're seeing this kind of performances. Absolutely not.
Have you seen how hard they work off the ball? Arsenal City.
Yeah, but then you've got people around you. You've got people around you supporting you. He's literally an island. Every single time he's on his own. So that's why I'm saying to you that you put him in an Arsenal team, even if you put him in a Villa team, put him in City's team, there's no way you're seeing these kind of performances. I guarantee you that. Every time, the Chelsea game, there was literally at least 5 feet between any of our players. Like, they are all isolated. Every single
it's on
time.
the ball.
There's no one around them.
It's on the ball. He's giving away silly passes on the edge of the box. That has nothing to do with the intensity and the system. Nothing to do with it.
No, that's true. That's true. But the only point, the point I made to that was because when you go into a funk, it affects you mentally. There's no. Anyway, but that's.
I'm just saying, Sam sat there. Sam, any thoughts on Casemiro, mate? I've recovered everything.
I'm gonna sound like a broken record because I agree with both of you to an extent. I think the system is not helping him. I think the system is, if there is a system, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is not working. And obviously you see it isolate Kobe Mainu at times as well when he has to play the 6 when Casemiro's not there, and it is isolated. But I also think his head's gone. Either his legs are gone and he's just phoning it in, or his head's gone and he's like, I can't be arsed with it. I don't know which one it is. It could be either or. And he just seems to make strange decisions, like the tackles, like the passing, the clearances, and stuff like that. So whether he's still capable of playing at that level, it's possible, and he might just be like, just sort of marauding around and making strange decisions, or he genuinely, his ability has gone and then he's just trying to make up for it by making these stupid decisions. I don't know which one it is, but either way, I just don't think he's built for this United team. And I think unless the tactics drastically change, or he drastically gets better as to the Ten Hag, to the Casemiro we had last season, I think he's probably gone in the summer, to be honest.
Yeah.
So who's built for this? Who's built for this United team that we have now?
Until we change the system, no one, because there isn't a decent enough system. But I still
The
think
ones that keep are all injured.
Even with say we went back to the system we had last season, I still think Casemiro would be a hindrance to us because he's still be making stupid decisions like 2-footing tackles and putting clearances across the box, which has nothing to do with tactics or systems. That's his making decisions. That's him.
Yeah, but if you're in a more stable environment, if you're in a calmer environment, you'll be able to make better decisions. Why didn't we see these kind of creative decisions all the time last season?
Well, Mainoo's making calm decisions, Jimmy. Mainoo's getting on the ball and making like correct decisions and making correct passes.
Even a few passes.
Cambrala's making calm decisions.
Didn't Mainoo give away a few passes that led to a goal against Chelsea?
It's apples and oranges when you compare it to Casemiro, mate. Apples and oranges.
No, but I know, but then Casemiro. So this is his personality. Yes, we know that he's capable of that switch to happen every now and then. He can actually lose it, but then when he's in a much calmer situation, like Mainoo is ice cold. We know that. That's his temperament. He's naturally ice cold. Nothing phases him. But I'm sure we can argue this. Going, back and forth, but.
Yeah, that's
just how I feel. I feel like the system doesn't help him, and it brings out some of these things that we're beginning to see. And I feel that if we go back to the way we played last season, if you substitute Eriksen for Mainoo, and the way we set up last season, Arsenal doesn't win that game in Emirates. You don't win it with Mainoo next to Casemiro. There's so many games that we had where we're just a lot more compact and we had an extra wing back come into the midfield and add that balance, because we're just in the midfield is complete. There's no balance in there, and I feel that if we just had,
I said, don't forget about that same system though. We lost 7-0 to Liverpool, 6-3 to City. I conceded a lot of goals in the exact same system because it was hindered by Eriksen alongside Casemiro getting bypassed.
Guess what? Yeah, but guess what happened? We came third, went to 2 cup finals, and we're in the Champions League. I'd rather have that than be what we are now.
Yeah. Let's just park it because we're, like I said, can be here all day. I'm going to read out some comments because it's been neglected. It's going on about Casemiro. What structure and tactics do you think he must play? I mean, again, that could be an old shot. I can't even answer that because it's an hour-long answer, to be honest. We only need the right and aggressive players our medical team must replace. I don't know all of that. 15 points dropped. Yep, that's already been touched on. How the hell have we drew this? Says Shrinde. Now you stupid media will still bash Erik Ten Hag. It's clear that the players are the issue, not Erik Ten Hag. It's an interesting one. Simon Davis says, preach bro, facts. I understand how sports psychology works through studying. Nice quote for you all. Emotion creates motion, says Simon Davis. I like that. Lewis, most of the players are wank. Get rid. Ten Hag in.
Cheers, Lewis. Positive as always.
Yeah. Players diving in, not being able to strung 2 passes together. Massive gaps all over the pitch. We're awful. No tactics and circus football. Shit. Very emotional response there from UTFR. Gary Neville, do anyone else's head in as a commentator? Guy goes on with himself. Jay McGogan says our biggest 5 earners aren't worth half of that wage bill. Completely agree with that. Brian Casey, our 26 defensive combination today definitely doesn't help with consistency. And that kind of leads me to my kind of almost the last one that I wanted to end on a high and end on a positive. Sam, Willie Cambualo, coming into Man United, 4 injuries. We have a centre back, steps up to the occasion. I think there was one moment in the first half, which I think it was Darwin Núñez was through on goal, and they're like, I don't know where that recovery. I didn't even know he was that quick, bro.
Yeah. Bullied him.
Like he bullied him, and I thought I was thinking in the end at the time, I was like, penalty. He's going to give a penalty away here. But his composure. Let me just go through some of his stats, and I'll let you kind of go. So, game by numbers versus Liverpool, 100% ground duels won, 100% tackles, 29 passes completed, 3 clearances, 2 interceptions, and stepped up in, what's arguably the toughest game in English football. How good was he today?
The kid's good. I like him a lot. Like you said, there was that recovery tackle that when was it Núñez gets past him or Diaz? I can't remember.
Núñez.
And he's got him on toast here, and then he comes back and makes the tackle, and gets the ball back. Fantastic. There was a block as well, I think, in the second half where they cut across and he slid in and made a block. It was really good, really good. Obviously, you don't want to see United making last-minute blocks all the way through a fucking game because that's just not conducive to control, but that's what we were doing. And I think he made some important stuff. He was strong. There was a bit of bite to him as well. He had a bit of needle with a couple of players. He was shoving them, getting in their faces, which I like. Didn't look out of place at all. Looked solid. Looked like there was no point where I looked at him and go, oh, he looks a bit out of his depth here, or he doesn't look quite right. Everything looked concise. And like Chivy said, some of these players coming through the academy look like no fear, man. Just complete confidence in their own abilities, and like they stepped up and they're just like, yeah, of course I'm in the first team. Because I've done this, and done this, and I'm going to step up and continue on. So, yeah, I really like him, man. We've not seen that much of him. Obviously, he got the West Ham start, did he? Early in the season. And he's had a couple of bits and pieces here and there. But I liked him a lot, especially against Liverpool. It's a baptism of fire, man, against Liverpool. And especially against Maguire, who, depending on the guy you get, sometimes he's really, really good. Other times it's a bit shocking, but I thought he played really well. And like Brian said, 26 defensive combination, and he stepped in like he'd been playing the whole time. So really happy with him, and I hope he continues to step up for the rest of the season and next season takes another step up, whether that's a loan to a Premier League club for first team football if we're getting in centre backs, or whether he comes in and is the third or fourth choice. Say we sell Lindelof, Varane, etc. Say he comes in and does that. So yeah, I like it, man. I like him a lot. He seems like he's a good player.
You talk about Kobbie Mainoo, Chivy in the midfield. Different conversation because he's done phenomenally well, Kobbie, since he's come in. But you talk about him potentially saving us a lot of money in midfield. Just off what you've seen from Camboala at the moment, does it look like maybe it could be one of the situations like another kind of prospect who can grow into the team?
Yeah, I think it'd be perfect for us because he's quality, but he's still a young player. So he can always do what he's doing now. When we have injuries, he can step up, and then there's not that much of a drop in quality. The first time I saw Camboala was last season, but I think the incident happened the season before actually, and it was one of the under 18 games, and he played so well that he frustrated one of the strikers, one of the opposing strikers. I think it was Leicester. I don't remember what team it was anyway. But it got to a point where this guy actually fouls Camboala and then stamps on his ankle. Like, he's so frustrated.
Is that the injury that put him
Camboala...
out?
No.
He was supposed to come into the squad last season, wasn't he? But he had a major injury.
Yeah. But it wasn't that. He just got up. Didn't even look at the guy. He just got up and just carried on playing. He didn't even look at him, nothing. All the other players were going crazy, and he just stood up, just carried on playing. And I was like, that's a player. That's someone that's got he's got up here. And I wasn't surprised when I started hearing more about him. And now he's come in. And then when you follow him on Instagram, you can see how focused he is. Like, he's so religious, and
yeah.
So he's one of those players that, like I was saying earlier on, like it's football is a physical game, but I like to see players who are like mentally stable, who have that that just focus.
Especially when you got a chaotic team.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but ability-wise, I'm super impressed because he impressed in the West Ham game, and every time he's come in, he's actually looked like he belongs there, and I really don't want to see him go on loan because
I agree.
We've had lots of players go out on loan, good prospects. Ethan Laird went out on loan, never came back.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garner went on loan,
Ted Mengi.
Ted never came back. And these were all really good prospects, all of them. So I'm really, I don't want to see him. He should just stay with the team, just grow with the team, and if he doesn't make it, then sell him. But, yeah.
Well, we've got an old French centre-back going out the door, and Raphael Varane potentially, and a new young... He's French, right, isn't he, Willy Camboala? Pretty sure he's French.
No, he's Congolese, but I think he can play for France.
I thought he was French. Well, apologies.
Yeah. Good luck getting in that France team, by the way.
He's French.
Yeah.
He's French, yeah.
Yeah, but regardless, he looked super, super promising, and I was so impressed. He was my man of the match out of everyone on the pitch. I thought he was phenomenal, man. I thought he was really, really good. But yeah, to kind of summarise the review, gone on longer than we usually do, but there's that many things to talk about, and it was that much of a crazy game. I wanted to kind of go in detail a little bit. It's not, we talk about it, Sam, it's not sustainable, is it? Kind of thriving off this chaos. It's a huge red flag for me. We're reactive in games rather than proactive. Obviously, we've only got 8 games left of the season, something like that. We've got an FA Cup semi-final against Coventry, and then obviously see what happens with that. What is your expectation now towards the end of the season?
More of the same. Every game is going to be utter chaos, and we're just going to be looking for magical moments from certain players, Bruno, Rashford, Garnacho, to try and get us through this game. Injuries are just going to continue because it just seems like that's been this season. I don't see the likes of Lissandro and Luke Shaw getting back before the end of the season and being effective, to be honest with you. I think that's probably for next season. I think it doesn't matter if we play Coventry, who obviously a championship team, but they're doing all right, I believe, in the league. I think they're in playoffs, etc. I think you'll see the same sort of performance against Coventry as you will against who's a bigger team that we've got in the run the next couple of Spurs. We got Spurs,
and we get the United next.
So we've got Bournemouth next. Yeah, we've got Bournemouth next, and then
we've got Bournemouth, and then we've got Coventry, then we've got Sheffield, Burnley, Palace, Arsenal, Brighton.
So it'll be the exact same performance against Coventry as it will against Arsenal. It'll just be the exact same thing. Chaos, open-ended, rely on moments of brilliance and hope we can get something out of it. It'll be the exact same. And they'll just be all, like Brian says in the chat, he's laughing, but all winnable games. Technically, on paper, yeah, absolutely. But when it's United, absolutely not. It's not going to fucking happen because...
So was Fulham, so was Brentford, so was Forest.
Bournemouth as well, you remember that performance? That was terrible.
I always forget about that. 3-0 to Bournemouth,
This is what's going to happen. It's just going to be utter chaos, anxiety-ridden football for the next 8 games. And if we make it to an FA Cup final, we're probably just going to get our asses handed to us by City. So
yeah. Just to end, Chiv, I'm going to read you out some comments from Eric Ten Hag and get your reaction on it. We were hammered, bullied by Liverpool, overwhelmed at times. That was on the first half, which is shocking to hear from him because usually he's overconfident. He's also said we dropped 2 points. The first half was tough, but we were in the game in the second half. We created chances, and obviously he's gutted to go 2-1 up and then concede again. How do you feel now? What's your overarching feeling heading into the last part of the season?
Well, it's taken me by surprise, to be honest, because I thought he'd just come up with the same old kind of
played
stuff.
A good game, played well.
I was
dominated.
I was ready to just go into him and slam dunk, but yeah, he's I think that was quite accurate from how you read it. It sounds like he watched the game the same way we did. Second half, we kind of came up. I don't remember us really dominating. We just caused chaos for them and all that. As far as expectations for the rest of the season, I was initially hoping to at least make 5th in the Champions League, but that's not happening. And I just have to be realistic now.
Yeah.
And we just need to let's just at least play Europa League. I can't handle playing a conference, please. Right? So I know Champions League is gone, but I would at least hope, at the very least, that we can make the Europa League. And I have no confidence in the FA Cup at all. With the way we're playing now, I'm actually, and I mean this genuinely, with the way we're playing now, I'm not 100% confident about Coventry.
I don't blame you.
They could do us.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
They could do us.
I agree.
Yeah, agreed.
They could easily do us. So I'm not all the way confident, but yeah, I'm just hoping for Europa League at the very least. Just at least if we go down, I mean, if we have a bad season, at least let's still be a little bit classy about it and not drop into the Conference League at the very least.
Well, we travelled to the Butlin Stadium on Saturday to play the mighty Bournemouth with about
Nick,
the 2,000.
Your favourite team. Your favourite team, isn't it, Nick?
It's such a fucking Sun Beach, Sandcastle team. Well, we played them on Saturday, so obviously we'll have the review the next week. But we'll also have pros and cons as well tomorrow. I'm going to do a deep dive on this and obviously I've let the lads kind of take the flow with this one, so I'm going to give my own kind of spin on it. I'm going to drop that tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. And of course, as well, there'll be news shows, there'll be all the usual stuff. So make sure you check us out on socials. Leave a like on the video for us if you can, and leave your man of the match in the comment section. Me, Sam, and Chive. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, guys. See you in a bit.